You've all heard the expression, at first you don't succeed, try again. Saying comes from the initial stanza of a work that began appearing in British and American books back in the 1830s. Sometimes a song lyric, sometimes as a poem. The poem went like this. "'Tis a lesson you should heed. Try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again." Some of the versions have 2 tries, try again. Some of the versions have 3 tries, try again. None of the versions have 1 try. There's a reason for that. The idea here is to keep on trying. Don't just do it and then try one more time. The implication is keep on trying. W.C. Fields said, "If at first you don't succeed, try again, then quit. There's no point in being a fool about it." There's a lot of comedy versions of this. If at first you don't succeed, you are not Chuck Norris. If at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you. If at first you don't succeed, destroy all evidence that you tried. Then there's this version. Put it up there. If at first you don't succeed, or not. Well, we'll keep going. All right, we'll get there.
Don't give up.
Yes. Well, just keep on trying back there. Try again. It's the marriage version. If at first you don't succeed, do it the way your wife told you to do it. When it comes to marriage, it may seem like this is the saying. If at first you don't succeed, get a divorce. And then try again. But that's wrong, of course. The original saying wasn't. It was meant to encourage us to keep on trying, to stay the course, to try a new approach, to endure, to hang in there. Don't give up, to persevere. The dictionary definition of persevere is to persist steadily in an action or belief, usually over a long period, and especially despite problems and difficulties. And that, my friends, brings us to marriage. Until death do us part. Those are pretty serious words there, sworn by millions of couples in front of friends and family and in front of God. But 41% of the people that make that promise don't keep it. They end up in a divorce. But you'd think by the time they got this second marriage in, well, they'd have figured it out a bit. Then the statistic has got to go down, right? No, actually it goes up. The second marriages, the divorce rate is 60%. Now, by the third time, you figure, okay, we've got this nailed down. By now, we get it right. It's certainly got to drop the statistic, but the third marriage statistic is 73% end in divorce. It goes up each time. What's the deal here? What is going on? No perseverance. Perseverance is the determination to work hard and to continue, even when life throws curveballs at us or adds pressure that causes tension or conflict. In the Bible, James said this, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything." This seems to imply that in order to grow mature, you have to go through some stuff. People who give up easily will never know the depth and quality of a relationship that a mature marriage can bring. There's nothing like having a loving partner to go through life with. Isn't that what every love story is about? Actually, that happily ever after, that search for the one. Is happily ever after a myth? Well, yes and no. Yes, because no marriage is going to be happily always. No marriage is a bed of roses, although maybe it is because roses have thorns. But no, because you can live happily ever after in your relationship. Today, this morning, I'm going to tell you how. It takes work. It takes creativity. It takes sacrifice. It takes perseverance. And let's face it, perseverance is a heroic quality. Some of our favorite characters are persevering people. Let's take Indiana Jones. all those Indiana Jones movies. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the archaeologist, adventurer, is constantly getting in over his head. Harrison Ford, the actor that played him, said if there was a real Indiana Jones, he'd be dead 10 times over. But the fun is in watching him persevere. Remember Frodo, that little hobbit in Lord of the Rings? But this guy, most of the things are over his head, literally. He's pursued by dark riders, giant trolls, fire-breathing dragon, a spider the size of a house. I'd have been dead right there. That's it. That'd be the enemy. The twisted, scheming Gollum, an entire army of soulless creatures, all trying to kill him. Worse, he fights his own inner demon. The nearly overpowering temptations of greed and personal power. But this little hobbit never gives up. He takes his responsibility and his mission seriously, and he emerges triumphant. And we love him for it. Well, let's not forget Rocky Balboa. Yo, Rocky. Rocky is way beyond his apparent capabilities. He's way over his head. He takes on an opponent that is younger, faster, smarter, bigger, stronger in every single movie. Rocky, however, is blessed with a hard head, figuratively and literally. That's what gets him through. He just will not stay down for the count. He refuses to give up. Sylvester Stallone, by the way, the guy that created Rocky, it took him years and years and years to get anybody to make that 6th Rocky movie. Rocky Balboa. And then this last year with the Creed movie, that's 7 Rocky movies, and he finally won a Golden Globe Award, and he was nominated for an Academy Award, and at 69 years old, Sylvester Stallone, he could be the poster boy for perseverance. Chuck Norris read the entire Never-Ending Story. Those are fictional characters, of course. Let's look at a real person. Let's look at the Bible, the Apostle Paul. Paul's a stellar example of a man who refuses to be stopped by adversity or being ostracized. In his own words, he has worked much harder, been in prison more frequently, been flogged more severely than almost anyone else. He has been exposed to death again and again. Let's read his words here. 5 times I received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the open sea. I've been constantly on the move. I've been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from my own countrymen, in danger from Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, in danger from false brothers. I have labored and toiled and have often gone without sleep. I have known hunger and thirst and have often gone without food. I have been cold and naked. Besides everything else, I face daily the pressure of the concern for all the churches. What a whiner. I'm being facetious, of course. Paul didn't complain and moan, but he pushed on. Beyond the pain, physical and emotional. He persevered. Paul was a hero. In your marriage, in your relationship, you want to be a hero too, or a heroine. In this series, we've talked about a number of ways to improve marriages. And we're closing with this one because none of the ones we've talked about before work without this. Because in your marriage, you will experience different seasons. You will have disagreements with your spouse, and you will fail your spouse. And at any given point whatsoever, you have a choice. You can either walk away, throw in the towel, quit, or you can persevere and make it work. And today I'm going to give you 9 tips to encourage perseverance in marriage. You'll find them in your little handouts there. It says persevere down the center in red. You can fill in the blanks here. And the first one is be patient. Be patient. Patience ties in close with tolerance. Or also could be defined as putting up with. I can only put up with this situation or this behavior or this person for so long and I go completely and utterly mad. We're an impatient lot, we humans. We want things, we want them now. We want immediate results. We want immediate return on our investments. We want to become a star overnight. We want to lose weight fast, 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 but that doesn't really work so good because we also want fast food. We want to jump in the sack with the first night we meet a woman. We want the traffic to go quicker. We want our deliveries overnight. We drink instant breakfast. We cook minute rice. Our high-speed internet isn't fast enough. It took 3 seconds. We want it now. And we want our spouses to do the things we want them to do or change in the way that we want them to change, and we want them to do it now. But that isn't going to happen. Change takes time. Habits don't become habits overnight. And changing them doesn't happen overnight. What wife here hasn't taken out the trash because she got tired of waiting for her husband to do it? Or picked up his clothes, she got tired of waiting him to do it? What husband here hasn't pulled out the vacuum cleaner and finally vacuumed the floor because the wife didn't get around to doing it? Just checking to see if you're paying attention. Patience shows kindness and understanding and love. Ephesians 4 tells us, be humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. Which leads us to number 2, which is be humble. Jesus told us, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. And whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. And Paul says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Now, if we're going to follow the example that Jesus said, this may be the most important quality of all, because our Savior's life was entirely based on one of serving, as was his death. Serve your wife. Serve your husband. See to their needs. Humility means stop trying to one-up one another. Stop keeping score. You did this. Well, you did this. Well, I've done the dishes every single night this week after dinner. Well, I did all the breakfast dishes. Stop that. You won't always be doing equal amounts exactly. Equal amount of the workload or sharing the financial burden exactly equally. It's okay. It's a partnership. You both have your strengths, and those balance out each other. And that's why a marriage works. That's why life is better when that person is around. Instead of thinking about that they're not doing their fair share of the work, why not consider it a chance for you to do it for them and serve them? I'm serious. You guys are looking at me like, that takes humility. Ephesians says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. All right, number 3 is forgive one another. Forgive one another. Yeah, your spouse is going to mess up. They're going to do something they should have done, or they're going to say something that they shouldn't have said. And you can either hold this against them, or you can forgive them and go on loving them. And of course, C.S. Lewis put it very well when he said, well, everyone says forgiveness is a lovely idea until they have something to forgive. You're both human. So don't be surprised when you hurt each other, because it's going to happen. When I do a wedding, I always say this to the person: you aren't promising to always feel for each other as you do today. You are promising to always act towards each other as you promise you will today. But honestly, we won't even live up to that. So you will need to learn to forgive your spouse often. That doesn't mean you condone their actions. It doesn't mean that their behavior didn't hurt you, that it was okay what they did. What it does mean is that you're willing to reconcile with them. And the impact that this can have on a marriage is huge. Forgiveness restores and rebuilds and helps you move forward into happiness again. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ God forgave you. Did you catch that? As he forgave you. It comes down to this. You want to be forgiven? You need to forgive. You're going to mess up. You want to be forgiven. It's a two-way street. Number 4 is seek to be flexible. Seek to be flexible. Inflexible things break when you put stress on them. To persevere, you need to be flexible with your time and your finances and your relationships. Why? Because things aren't always going to work out the way you thought they were going to. I know a couple had a 20-year plan. This was going to happen, this was going to happen, this was going to happen. How do you think that's working out for them right now? Now, there's nothing wrong with making plans or dream building. That's a good thing. But you have to be willing to be flexible. Otherwise, you're going to have heartache, disappointment. And it's not easy to be flexible. Dancers are flexible. But you know what? In order to get flexible, they have to stretch. And that stretching is painful. Accidents happen. Illness happens. Nobody anticipates this. We all figure we're going to grow old and happy together, strong in our relationship, and sound in mind and body. Well, till death do us part. But then life throws a curveball at us. My friend Jim's wife, Vicki, was in a car accident. Had a major brain injury. And suddenly she was like a 5-year-old again. And always will be. He didn't sign up for that. But he did sign up for better or for worse. In sickness and in health. I don't know, maybe these aren't so much curveballs that life throws at us as they are hand grenades sometimes. And when that happened, believe me when I tell you, all of Jim's plans changed. A lot of days are a struggle for him, but because he leans hard into God, and because he taps into a strength beyond his own, he gets through it. 13 years later, that marriage is still together. He's inspiring. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Be flexible and have joy regardless of what's going on in your lives. And you will persevere. Number 5, cheer for your spouse. Be your spouse's loudest cheerleader. Make every day be a pep rally for them. When you rally behind your spouse and encourage him or her, you also encourage yourself. When you desire to see them succeed and do good, it'll motivate you to do the same thing. Let them know how much you appreciate them. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach. Elizabeth Barrett Browning said that. When was the last time you said something like that? Tell your spouse how you feel. And tell other people too. That's a good thing too. When, about 25 years ago, we were sitting with a group of people and just talking. My wife wasn't with me that evening. We were on a ship talking with a bunch, and a girl turned to me and said, you know what's so attractive about you? The way you talk about your wife when she's not around. Men, when you talk about how wonderful and special and talented and beautiful and hardworking and loyal your wife is, it reminds you that she's a pretty darn good thing to come home to. And ladies, when you tell your girlfriends how terrific and attentive and hardworking and helpful and loyal your husband is, It reminds you that he's special. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up. Your words have power, and they will inspire your heart to persevere. Which leads us directly into love expressively. Love expressively. You can't just feel it, you have to show it. There's the old joke where the guy says to his wife, "Look, I told you I loved you at the wedding. If anything changes, I'll let you know." That doesn't work. You have to demonstrate it. Learn to speak your wife's love language. You guys know what the love languages are? For those of you that don't know, I'll just really quickly tell you the premise behind this. We all have a way that we express love. Something that makes us feel loved and a way that we try and make other people feel loved. But mostly it's how we feel loved. And then they've been broken down to 5 different ways. And they will, as you hear them, you may click into one is your main one. First one is words of affirmation. Nice job. You look beautiful. You did a great job. You're so smart. That sort of thing. The second one is acts of service. Doing something for your spouse. Cleaning out the leaves out of the gutter. Vacuuming the floor. Whatever it is. Acts of service. The third is receiving gifts. Flowers, candy, that sort of thing. The fourth is quality time. Just spending time with the person. And the last one is physical touch. And this doesn't just mean sex. Holding hands, putting your arm around someone, sitting in a couch with legs touching, massage, physical touch. The thing is, when we find which, and usually all of those appeal to us in one level or another, but there's usually one that appeals most to us. And when we realize what that is, we tend to relate to other people that we want to show love to in our way. For example, mine is words of affirmation. Nice job, did good. And so when I'm trying to make my wife feel better, I'll give her words of affirmation. You are such a good cook, you're so beautiful. But that's not her love language. Her love language is one of the other ones. So, with some people, if that's not their love language, they're thinking, sure, that's all talk, show me. And their love language is acts of service. Or, don't tell me. Show me, give me a gift. Or spend some time with me. Or hold my hand when we walk. Those are all the other ones. So the trick is to find out what your spouse's love language. Now there's a book called The 5 Love Languages that if you haven't read it, I highly recommend that I give it to everybody I know that gets married as a little present at weddings. It's a fabulous book. Sit down with your partner, read it together, figure out what your love language is, and might surprise you, because I was with my wife for many, 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 many years when we came across this book, and I thought I knew her really, really well, and it turns out her love language wasn't the one I thought it was at all. Surprise! But this is a really great thing to do, because it helps you let them know that you love them. You need to make an effort to let your spouse know on a regular basis how much they mean to you. At home, we have I don't drink coffee, I don't like it. But my wife drinks it, and there's a little coffee pot, and it has a white top on it. It's plastic. And so every morning I get up before she does, so I go down and get her coffee going, make the coffee. And the top of the coffee pot has a nice blank white space there, so I use dry erase markers to leave her a message every day, whatever it might be. The other day it was, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it had numbers totally covering the coffee. Down the sides, at the very end, the back. We do this every day. I do this for her, just to remind her that she is special to me. Ask yourself this: how much effort did you put into courting your wife, guys? And I know courting's an old-fashioned phrase, but it's different than dating. Courting has an end game in mind. Courting is you're going after something. You're looking for exclusivity with courting. You're selling yourself with courting. And it takes time and effort, and sometimes it takes money. But let me ask you this. Once you've made the sale, so to speak, once you've got them to sign on the dotted line at the bottom of the wedding license or whatever, do you just stop that? Should that effort just fizzle out? Absolutely not. But Rory, I can't afford to woo my wife like that all our lives. I go broke. No, you wouldn't. Not true. How much does it cost to take your wife on a date once a month? Maybe 65 bucks. How much does a bouquet of flowers every few weeks cost? Under 10 bucks. How much for a little teddy bear or a box of chocolates or a pint of favorite ice cream? Under 5 bucks. In fact, next time you're driving past any garage sale, stop in and you can find yourself a little cute stuffed animal for 50 cents. Tell it then. How much does a small card cost once a month? Go to the 99-cent store, they're 50 cents. At our house, we have a balloon bunny, a little stuffed bunny, sits in the living room, always has a balloon, helium balloon. And the balloon says whatever the occasion is. Happy Easter, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy St. Patrick's Day, Happy Birthday, whatever's going on. But a lot of times it's just a heart, or it's just a balloon. Flowers, whatever the balloon is. The balloon is just a thing that I like to give my wife, or she buys them sometimes too. When the balloon starts to go down, we get a new balloon. It's an I love you balloon. It's always there in the living room, right where we sit to watch TV. The balloon bunny always has a balloon. One time, the balloon bunny had the same balloon for like 3 months. My wife kept going, man, helium balloons usually come down much quicker than this. This one just days. I kept switching it out on her. To the same balloon over and over. But what is that balloon saying? You make me float. It's $1 for a balloon. Is that too much to invest for the love of your life? All right, how much does it cost you to write a little I love you note and leave it somewhere in the house where she's going to find it later on in the day? Or how much does a text that says, thinking of you, or a telephone call? Just call to say I love you. I just called to say. All right, let's do it all together. I just called to say I love you. Yeah. How much does it cost to tell her how beautiful she looks today, or to hold her hand when you walk together? What expense is there to make it a point never to leave the house without saying I love you and kissing your spouse before you go? Ever. How much does it cost you to mute the TV for a moment when she talks to you? Oh yeah, there's a mute button. It's the little one on the remote. The one that hasn't been used yet. And if you don't have it, TiVo is a great invention, by the way. Because you can push the button and the thing stops. The big game will stop right then, and you can talk to your wife and spend time with her and find out what the situation is, and go take care of it if you need to, and come back and you hit the button again and it starts up right where you left. One of the great inventions of the world. Get it? All I'm saying is this: show your love. The Bible tells us not to just speak our love, but to show it in deed. Number 7 is be faithful. Be faithful. Now, I mean this in 2 ways. One is be full of faith. Have your relationship with God and your relationship with your spouse. Be faithful. Have faith that God cares for you and that He will fulfill His promises in your life. Have faith that He is powerful and He's the only thing that you will ever need. Wives, have faith that your husbands can learn to be the man of God that God desires him to be. And men, have faith that your wife can grow ever closer to God, which will make her grow ever closer to you. Faith in God will get you through the worst times, like my friend Jim and his wife Becky. But the second way, of course, that I mean be faithful is the obvious one, intimacy. Intimacy must only be shared with your chosen one. Nothing destroys a marriage faster than jealousy. And when I say intimacy, I don't just mean sex. I mean intimacy, spending time one-on-one, opening yourself up, sharing emotions. Here's the basic rule. It's real simple. Don't be alone with somebody of the opposite sex other than your spouse. Simple. Don't be alone with them. Don't talk to them on the telephone, or text them, or be Facebook friends with them, or deal with them on the internet. That's it. Follow that rule. Simple, but very effective. 1 John says, "For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, comes not from the Father, but from the world." Which leads us to number 8, which is resist life's temptations. Because temptations are everywhere in our life. In the television, in the billboards, in the music, in the movies, in the magazines, in the internet, in our social lives. Temptation. Those who live according to the flesh have their minds set on what the flesh desires. But those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their minds set on what the Spirit desires. The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace. The mind governed by the flesh is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. Those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God. You, however, speaking to Christians, are not in the realm of the flesh, but are in the realm of the Spirit, if indeed the Spirit of God lives in you. And if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, they do not belong to Christ. Corinthians says, "Flee from sexual immorality. You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body." In other words, you claim to be a Christian? Act like a Christian.
Amen.
And I'm not just talking about fleeing from sexual temptation either. There are other kinds of temptations out there. The temptation of material things, or money, or power. All of those things can destroy a marriage. I think that's quite interesting. I was watching, I was at a gym, and the TV had on, BET TV was all music videos, and these music videos were all about having a mansion, or amazing cars, or mink coats, or big gold things, or babes everywhere. 90% of the commercials that came on between those videos were for bankruptcy or credit card debt agencies. This is true. And I thought, More marriages implode over money problems than any other reason. Don't fall into that trap. Live within your means. Take a personal finance class and learn how to handle your money in a godly way. They have classes like that. Don't try and keep up the Joneses. The Joneses are drowning in debt.
Amen.
And don't play power games with your spouse. Look, if you go to work and people there treat you like you're a nobody, with no say over anything, don't come home and try and make up for that by belittling your spouse, putting them down and lording over them. You don't ever have to put somebody else down in order to build yourself up. Look, all this is nothing new. This has all been going on forever. You're not the first ones to fall in these traps. And if you have, there's a way out. Well, we can look at the Bible to see you're not the first ones to fall in these traps. 1 Corinthians, Paul says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." Notice that word endure, because it's used again in Corinthians. He says, love is always ready to make allowances, to trust, to hope, and to endure whatever comes. Love never ends. Sometimes perseverance just comes down to enduring. All right, we're going to invite the worship team to come on back up as we close out with the last one here. Number 9 is unite. Unite with each other and with God. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Let me tell you how I look at marriage and divorce. I look at my wife as she's my wife. And she will always be my wife. Always. She is my family. And she is no less my family than my children are my family. And I could never get rid of my children. They will always be my children. My sons will always be my sons. Doesn't matter what they do. They will always be my sons. Now, I know you see in the movies where the guy rips his shin and says, you are no longer my son. Wrong. Yes, he is. You can deny it, but it's not true. That guy will always be your son. He was born to you. I look at my marriage in the exact same way. My wife will always be my wife. Divorce? Absolutely out of the question. Not even on the table. And when you think of your spouse like that, when you think they will always be there, you have two choices, and things get tough. You either live miserably, or you fix it and be happy. Those are your two choices. Walking away, starting over, not an option. It changes things when you think of it that way. And we've all had that moment. Everybody that's married, when you want to go, oh, just be easier. But that's not an option. Any more than it's an option if my son made me angry that he would not be my son. So, try looking at it that way. Unite with each other. And also unite with God. Having God in our lives can make our marriages pretty much bulletproof. Make God part of your life. Attend church together. Serve together. Pray together. Pray with each other and pray for each other. We're going to do a love commitment ceremony in a minute. And on the back, and when you go out afterwards, we're going to give you little cards that have the words on them. So you can stick it to your refrigerator and they can be right there. But on the back of that, you'll see a space that says, pray for her, pray for him. And you want to write down what you want to pray for your wife for, what you want to pray for your husband for, what you want to pray for your boyfriend or girlfriend for if you're not married. Pray together. It will draw you closer. Pray for that person. Go to God first. Let him know how you're feeling. If you're tired or feeling weak from serving your husband, ladies, go to God for strength. If you're having a hard time understanding your wife's perspective, gentlemen, go to God for understanding. Or if life is swirling around you and you feel like your life is totally out of control, ask God to calm the storm and help you. Yeah. Don't rely on your own strength and wisdom to get you through, because it's not enough. When I used to be an atheist for much of my adult life, and some of you don't know that, but it's true. When I was an atheist, I used to say, you know what? God is just a crutch for the weak. And then as I got more mature and became a Christian, I realized that, yeah, God is a crutch for the weak, and that's a good thing. Turn to God when you need help. Make your marriage a trinity, husband, wife, God. But one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not into your own understanding, but in all ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. You need God to help you persevere, because he is the source of your strength. Your relationship with your spouse is the most important relationship you'll ever experience besides your union with God. It is a priority. It matters. God is begging you to never give up on him. Let us not become weary of doing good, it says in Galatians, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Persevere, my friends. Persevere. Love, persevere.